During our two work integrated learning sessions with Mobile Primary School, students were taught the basic fundamental skills of badminton. Students should accomplish or be very close to accomplishing all three intended learning outcomes by the conclusion of the lesson.
Our intended learning outcomes were chosen with the consideration that students will likely be unfamiliar with the game of badminton. Because of this, our learning outcomes are basic and easy to follow to ensure students can effectively learn, understand, and demonstrate the basic skills of the game.
The equipment used during the badminton lesson was 15 to 20 badminton rackets, 10 tennis rackets, 15 to 20 shuttlecocks, and 2 medium-sized nets.
Our lesson was based around a progressive game sense approach, which started with simple activities to check for initial skills and became more complex as the lesson progressed.
The first intended learning outcome for our lesson focused on getting the students to learn and understand how the shuttle flies. Unlike a normal tennis ball, the shuttle has a unique flight pattern which can take some time to get familiar with. The activity we used to achieve this learning outcome was a throwing and catching exercise with the students being in pairs. To promote engagement and challenge the students, we tasked them with the counting of the number of catches they could complete using 2 hands, 1 hand for more competent students.
Intended learning outcome 2 involved the students learning, understanding, and demonstrating how to correctly and safely use the badminton racket. For our lesson to be successful, it was important that this outcome was achieved. However, we did have tennis rackets in case students initially struggled. At first, we sat the students down to discuss and demonstrate the correct technique and safety considerations involved in using the racket. Once technique and safety had been discussed, the students were paired up and tasked with using their rackets to try and score the longest rally in the group. After a few minutes of attempts, the students were brought back in and asked how they kept the shuttle in the air and why they found that strategy to be effective. Following this activity, the students progressed into an activity involving 2 pairs attempting to keep the shuttle in the air. The Keep It Up activity required more technique and tactical awareness from the students. To cater for a range of abilities, tennis rackets were subbed in to help students hit the shuttle more often, and having a partner throw instead of serve to initiate a rally worked well for students who struggled serving but could hit well during a rally.
The aim of intended learning outcome 3 was to have students learn and understand how to play using a badminton net. This learning outcome required students use a variety of shots, including serving, to get the shuttle high enough to go over the net, and use kinesthetic skills to ensure they were positioned and ready to return the shuttle. To achieve this outcome, we first had the students throwing over the net to one another, with the aim of using different throws to score against their partner. This activity familiarised the students with the net and gave them an idea of what strategies would work. These strategies and tactics were further discussed prior to Activity 5, which involved a partner throwing over the net to their peer, whose aim was to hit the shuttle back over in an attempt to score.
Another teaching strategy we put into place for our lesson was scaffolding. This strategy was very effective for students who initially struggled with the basic skills of the sport. We put scaffolding into practice by giving struggling students a more simplified task and then gradually increasing the difficulty until they caught up with the rest of the group. The advantages of using game sense during our lesson were that our students were constantly engaged and learning during activities. Encouraging them to keep score and compete with their partner ensured they were focused on using tactics and strategy, which led to the achievement of our learning outcomes.
Disadvantages evident within our game sense approach were that the students often found it difficult to keep a rally going. This caused a lot of stopping and starting, especially within the partnered rally using a net.
After a review of our first lesson, we believe the activities planned were effective towards reaching our intended learning outcomes. Although this was the case, we still made some minor changes for our second lesson, such as incorporating a greater use of tennis rackets to make rallies easier to accomplish. Early use of tennis rackets helped the transition into badminton racket use.
A key thing we learned for these sessions with Mowbray was the importance of taking extra time with students when introducing a new topic, or in this case, a new set of skills. Given none of our students had played badminton before, we discovered how important it was to slowly progress through our activities to ensure students were able to understand the concepts and demonstrate the necessary skills. Although this was a challenge, it was very rewarding to see students learning and being successful.
Feedback we received from our peer reviewers was very positive. They outlined that our demonstrating and instructing was very clear and our activities showed good progressions. Areas that require improvement, however, were our strategies for catering for lesser abilities, which was something we fixed using more tennis rackets. We could have also been more enthusiastic when introducing some of our activities. Feedback we received from our students was that they found the lesson to be really fun and challenging.